CJ the Painkiller.
Kevin Jackson.
So we need to start acting like a big boy football. It's time for the jet tax to die.
You're listening to Weapons Hot on Sports War Radio and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Darnold fires one into the end zone. It is caught. That's a touchdown.
And now here is your host, CJ the Painkiller, D. Simone, and Kevin Jackson.
What's going on, Jets Nation? Welcome to another edition of Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan broadcast here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Sports War Radio, Snowman Digital Media, and quite frankly, any place where you can get your New York Jets fix. I'm your host, CJ the Painkiller D. Simone, and tonight I will be known by a new name, which is called Don't Deserve Internet God, which is kind of funny. If you go to the Weapons Hot Twitter feed, you'll see exactly what I mean. But first, let me introduce you to my squadron. Ladies and gentlemen, on the other side of the glass, put your hands together for Mr. Kevin Jackson.
Three bad brothers you know so well. It started way back.
All right. I'm telling you, if you've never had a Weapons Hot introduction, you've never been introduced. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. Another white hot episode of the Weapons Hot. We're ready to get it. We're ready to get it popping tonight. Really excited about our guest tonight. Obviously, I say that all the time, but tonight we've got a special treat, and I'm really excited about getting into that. We'll probably discuss a few things that I think maybe are outside of the stream of random conversation that the Jets Twitter is kind of and social media is talking about right now. But hey, as always, we're talking Jets. Let's do it. I'm ready.
That's it. Now to introduce the second member of our squadron. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the main wingman, Jimmy the Reaper Jordan. What's going on, brother man?
I absolutely love that song. What's going on, guys?
You gotta love it.
I'm super excited about our guest, Errol. Welcome. We're actually gonna be talking about some new stuff tonight, and I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Like, I'm not even gonna mention the name that we've been discussing for the last month. So it's gonna be a good show tonight, guys. I'm ready to have some fun.
Absolutely. And speaking of guests, it is now time for us to introduce our very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the boss of Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Mr. Errol Marks. Errol, what's going on, brother man?
I'm happy to be here. I got a text from CJ this morning. He says, how would you like to come on the show? And I'm usually busy on the Sundays with just hanging out and taking care of some stuff with the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. But I'm always excited when I come on this show because everybody knows I'm a Jet fan. I am a real down-to-earth, laid-back Jet fan, but I just speak the truth on what I think is going on with the Jets and where I think the Jets are going to go, especially this offseason. But I'm excited to be here.
We're super excited to have you because we have a lot of different questions that we'd like to ask you. I mean, obviously, the talk of the town is the talk of the town right now is of the Deshaun Watson saga, where he's going, where he's not going, if the Jets are going to get him, if the Jets are not going to get him. And, there seems to be a couple of different stories circulating about different trade packages that could be sent out, different packages that have been kicked around, different teams that he could end up on. So, really I know that you've been very outspoken about this on the shows that you host. By the way, if you live under a rock, Errol is the host of 3 shows. The Weekend Crunch on Saturdays, which you can find him on Long Island Radio. There is Below the Mic and Down to the Wire, which he does here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. So Errol has actually been incredibly outspoken in regards to his thoughts, but just in case, if you have not heard some of Errol's monologues over the past few weeks about the Jets quarterback situation and what they should do, Errol, please give us a brief synopsis because you've actually got some some very strong points about this.
Well, I know a lot of Jet fans will lean back and say that Sam Darnold isn't the quarterback of the future. I mean, ever since the Sam Darnold saga came into the world, and everybody talks about Mike McCagnon, that was his last draft. He brought in Sam Darnold, and a lot of Jet fans were very excited about bringing somebody like Sam Darnold in. A lot of analysts thought that he was the best quarterback in that draft class, and that was a very good draft class for quarterbacks. You see Baker Mayfield developing as he has in the last couple of years. You see the fact that Josh Allen, to me, is the best quarterback in that draft class. And Lamar Jackson was the MVP / player of the year last year and really took a step back this year, but can't win the big game in the playoffs. And that's starting to stick out for him and Josh Allen. But I look at the Jets situation right now with Deshaun Watson. I think that if you look at the Jets and you look at the capability that the Jets have of bringing Deshaun Watson, and you have 4 first-round draft picks in the next 2 years, they have the most draft picks in the first 3 rounds in the next 2 years than any team in the NFL. You talk about Miami, who has 11 draft picks going into this year. The only 2 teams that I believe will have a shot at Deshaun Watson, because they're both drafting at 2 and 3, is the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. And the reason why is the only way they're going to trade Deshaun Watson is if they get the number 2 quarterback in this draft class. Now, the Jets right now, with all the draft capital that they have and all the capabilities that they have to draft at number 2, I think they have the best chance to get Deshaun Watson. But is it worth? And I listened to John McClain the other day, and I actually had a monologue playing what he said about the New York Jets, and that the New York Jets have the best chance of landing Deshaun Watson because the Texans right now are not willing to trade him. But as the draft comes along, they're going to have to decide, because if Deshaun Watson sits for the year, it could cost the Texans, first of all, a lot of fans, because I believe the season, when the season opens up, fans will be allowed into the stadium. I don't know if a full capacity, but I think about 60-70% of the fans are going to be allowed to come into the stadium sometime in October or November. But I also believe the Texans losing J.J. Watt, releasing him, they don't have that other superstar. They brought in David Johnson. They got rid of a guy like Hopkins. He goes over there to Arizona, and he's showing everybody why he is one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver in the league. You're looking at the Jets right now, and a lot of Jet fans are sitting back. We don't want Sam Darnold. I've listened to you, CJ. I've listened to a lot of people that they don't want Sam Darnold. They've seen enough. Josh, everybody knows Josh Silverberg. He's seen enough for Sam Darnold. Makes too many mistakes, throws the ball away. But you have to look at Sam Darnold. He has never had a real good offensive coordinator. He had Bates his first year with Todd Bowles. I call him Toddy Bowles because they listen to the name, Todd Bowles. It's like taking a crap, because that's what he was as a New York Jets coach. Now, I think Todd Bowles deserves a second chance, as you saw him as a defensive coordinator for the Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The guy's a great defensive mind. I just don't know if he's a head coach in a league. And then you bring in the great Adam Gase, or the Adam Cuckoo Eyes, whatever you want to call him. He was the quarterback guru, the offensive guru, and he completely destructed the New York Jets' offense for the last few years. As a matter of fact, the Jets' offense was practically ranked dead last the 2 years that he was there with the New York Jets. So was he that much better than Todd Bowles? No. So you can't blame Sam Darnold with this self-destruction of the way he threw the ball in different places, didn't make the right throws in certain spots, because he didn't really have a number 1 wide receiver. You can argue he never had a number 2 wide receiver. Now, Jamison Crowder is a great slot receiver. We understand what Denzel Mims could be, but we only saw him for 7 games or 8 games this year because of his injury. So we don't know what he is. They haven't had a number 1 wide receiver since Brandon Marshall. Let's be honest. And he was only a number 1 wide receiver for 1 year. And then the last time we had a real number 2 was Decker. And that was 1 or 2 years for the Jets too. And he fought injury. So I'm looking at the Jets right now. Where do the Jets go at the quarterback position? Well, there's 2 things. It's either right now, a lot of Jet fans are saying Deshaun Watson, or you trade Sam Darnold and you bring in Zach Wilson. Here's the reason why you can argue your points on why you could go with Justin Fields or Zach Wilson. Justin Fields is a guy that can run a 4.4 at 40. He's very fast. the guy has a tremendous arm, probably the best arm in this draft class. I don't care what anybody says. Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson. This guy has got a gun for an arm. He really does. He played for Ohio State. He came from Georgia. Georgia didn't want to give him a chance, and he went to a national championship. He lost. He got killed by Alabama, but the guy has got tremendous ability. The guy is the fastest quarterback in this class. He's 240 pounds. He's just as fast as Lamar Jackson. Has a much better arm. He's much bigger. He's much stronger. The only problem that a lot of scouts have said something about Justin Fields is his intangibles of seeing the field like Zach Wilson has proven that he can, and Trevor Lawrence. He always throws to his first option. He doesn't look for his second and third option. And they say, a lot of scouts say that could be a problem going into the NFL with the speed of the game. Zach Wilson has a gun for an arm. Everybody knows. You saw him in the ball game, had 5 touchdowns, dominated the ball game, and a lot of people are comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. But here's the thing. Even if he's anywhere close to Patrick Mahomes, we're never going to know that because the Jets don't have the weapons that Kansas City has. They don't have a Travis Kelce. They don't have a Hill. And by the way, they don't have Andy Reid. I love Robert Saleh. We don't know what Robert Saleh is. So when we look at the Jets and we look at the quarterback position, a lot of Jets are going to say, Zach Wilson, Deshaun Watson, no Sam Darnold, no Justin Fields. But I said this on my show. As much as everybody likes Zach Wilson, here's the quarterback in the draft class going into this year. This is my first, second, third, fourth, and fifth quarterbacks going into the first round. I think number 1 is Justin Fields. I think he has the most all-around talent out of all the quarterbacks. He could do everything well, except maybe seeing his second and third options. But talent-wise, he's as talented as Trevor Lawrence. He's as talented as Zach Wilson, and as talented as Trey Lance. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2, I would put Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson could do a lot of things on the field that we have seen. He played for BYU. We have never seen him play against some of these top SEC teams or these Big 12 teams. We've never seen him play against those teams. So we don't know what he could do in a game when you're playing against top talent, top fast talent on the field. So again, as much as everybody likes Zach Wilson, he fits the great Kyle Shanahan's offense. By the way, Kyle Shanahan never won a Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator, and he never won a Super Bowl as a head coach. So I don't want to hear about how great Kyle Shanahan is because he hasn't won the big game, and he's always stopped the strength of their team in the big game with the last 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes of the game. Stop running the ball, and that's why they lost in the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons against the Patriots, and that's why they didn't beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And then the number 3, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has all the intangibles. Everybody talks about how great he is. He's a generational quarterback. Trevor Lawrence has proven to me 2 games against Justin Fields that he couldn't outplay the quarterback that everybody keeps comparing him to. So to me, I'm going to take the guy that has played well against the great Trevor Lawrence, and that's Justin Fields. Go average out their numbers. Both games, even though they're 1-1 against each other, Justin Fields played better than Trevor Lawrence in both of those games. And then number 4, you could say Trey Lance, and number 5, you could say Mac. Okay, that's about it. Mac Jones. That to me, when you're looking at this quarterback class, it could go either way. Where do I think the Jets should go? If they say Zach Wilson fits the offense, go with Zach Wilson. If you think Justin Fields fits the offense, take Justin Fields. If you think you can make a move for Deshaun Watson, make a move for Deshaun Watson. But here's the thing. If you make a move for Deshaun Watson, you do not give up 3 or 4 first-round draft picks and set this team back. They have so many missing pieces right now to this team, and they cannot win giving away their upset, the growth of this draft class that Joe Douglas has built in the last 2 years. Everybody was complaining about the Jamal Adams trade. Where is Jamal Adams now? Russell Wilson wants out. Jamal Adams didn't even win his first game in the playoffs. Looked like crap. And let me tell you, I don't care how many sacks he had. He looked like crap for Seattle. That was the worst secondary in NFL history. So to me, when you want to say and you want to argue your points, I'm sure Jamal Adams really wishes he's still with the Jets now that Robert Saleh is there, and this is a completely different campaign. So to me, I follow Joe Douglas. If Joe Douglas believes that Sam Darnold's a guy, keep Sam Darnold and build around Sam. If you think Zach Wilson's the guy, go after Zach Wilson. If you think Justin Fields is the guy, go after Justin Fields. Just make the right damn choice already, and let's start building around a damn quarterback and stop saying every single year, well, he's the guy, he's the guy, he's the guy. I don't give a crap. Just freaking play the game and win some games already. This team has looked like crap year in and year out, and I want to see a winning organization. Deshaun Watson has won with a terrible team. Deshaun Watson led the league in yards thrown last year. He had terrible wide receivers. Will Fuller was out 5 games over the last 4 games of the season because of steroid abuse or steroid use. This is a guy that actually played well with nothing to throw to and a washed up running back that they trade for Hopkins. You go after the best guy for the job. And if you decide that Watson is the guy, make sure you don't give away your future.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, one of the things about the Deshaun Watson deal, and if I'm Joe Douglas, the guys over here can attest to it. I have a package in mind that you could offer Houston, which I think is more than fair, which is the number 2 overall pick. You give them Seattle's first rounder next year. You give them Sam Darnold. You maybe throw in a 2nd round pick, and that's pretty much it. And I think that's more than fair. More than fair compensation for Deshaun Watson, in my opinion. So, Kevin, I'm curious to hear what you have to say, and then we'll circle back around to Jimmy, because I see the smoke coming out from under Jimmy's skull cap there. So I'm sure he's got the hamster in there working overtime. So, Kevin, take it over.
No, man, Errol's got a lot to unpack there.
Liar.
The basic I guess breakdown for me is that I agree with most of it. I mean, the small detail stuff maybe we don't, but Sam is done here. I don't think there should be any question about that. I really don't think that it makes sense for anybody to think anything other than that. We're talking about the 35th ranked quarterback in the league with 32 teams. So the reality of it is that Sam, while he hasn't had the talent around him, while he hasn't had the coaching, Sam himself has made bonehead plays that really kind of make you wonder what he's doing, regardless of if he doesn't have, this top-notch caliber players around him. There are guys that are open in certain situations and he misses them. There are situations where guys are wide open and he overthrows them. There are situations where he drops back and literally he's staring at the same guy, and everybody on national television is watching it. So what makes you think that the guys on the defense aren't watching it? And that's why he's getting picked off at the rate that he is. So Sam Darnold, who, again, I was happy about when we brought him in. I think most of Jets Twitter spent that entire, season prior to us drafting him saying, suck for Sam, because we thought that guy was going to come in and be the guy that we needed to turn it around. The problem is,
isn't it amazing how we went from freaking suck for Sam to now Sam sucks?
Yeah, well, I mean, Sam has some responsibility in that also. That's one thing that I don't want to move beyond, because again, and you guys hear me say this all the time, we are talking about the Jets, okay? Every time I say that, folks, they I'm not sure if it goes over their head, but the fact of the matter is that we've been a really poorly run, poorly organized franchise for years now. And I mean, it's not that we've never had success, because I mean, if we're talking about just slightly over a decade ago, we're AFC championship game back to back. So let's not lose focus on the fact that historically we've had some success, but most recently, and I think that the younger generation might not really recognize it, but we really haven't been that good for the past 10 years, but we have been good. So Sam right now is an afterthought for me. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think the one thing that I'm really more focused on about what happens with Sam Darnold is the compensation that we get for who it is that we trade him to. Okay, I think that really is the only thing that makes sense for us to discuss going forward, because keeping Sam here at this point is probably the only thing that could happen that would completely and totally piss me off. Okay, anything else? Any combination of other quarterbacks or what have you that we bring in, any combination of draft picks that we give away for whoever it is that we bring in, I just honestly think that having Sam here as our QB1 next season is, I think, without a doubt, the very worst case scenario possible for us. And I'm saying that, understanding that, there are some guys out there that, maybe haven't had success in the league, but they'll be, in a much better situation than what it is that we would be in if we brought Sam back. So yeah, I was a Sam Supporter. Even if I'm not going to say I was ever really a Sam fan, right? I was a Sam supporter. At this point in time, I really do like the kid, but if Sam's going to have any success in this league, it's going to be in another uniform, and it probably won't even be within the next few years. So that we can kind of move on from the whole. And I know Jim said that we weren't going to discuss Deshaun Watson this week, but
I lied apparently.
Yeah, right.
yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I mean,
I said we weren't going to discuss. I was tired of discussing Deshaun Watson like what 2-3 shows ago.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I
Here he
think
is. He's like the bad penny that still shows up.
we've all discussed that Deshaun Watson scenario ad nauseum. I mean, quite a few different shows. I think we've kind of determined that we were going to stop talking about it. But the fact of the matter is, and I said this again, CJ, but going back 3 weeks, Deshaun Watson is the silver bullet.
Still news.
We get Deshaun Watson and we kill the wolf. Done. We're ready to go. Let's move. If that happens, we're in phenomenal shape, regardless of what it is that they do. Notwithstanding a complete meltdown by Joe Douglas, which I don't foresee. But I'm just saying, bringing in Deshaun Watson makes everything else better. It makes everything else taste good, right? Just like bacon. Put Deshaun Watson on it. I'm telling you right now, we're good. It's gonna taste good going into next season. So here we are, face to face. You know what I'm saying? Once again, with the stark reality that every option that we have outside of bringing Sam Darnold back is better than actually having Sam on the roster. And that really is the bottom line. Again, we like the kid. We wish him well. But right now, how many draft picks is it going to take to bring in somebody better? And now, again, and I know we're probably going to touch upon this a little later on in the show as well. The whole Zach Wilson now being the best quarterback prospect coming out ahead of Trevor Lawrence. The fact that, Dallas is screwing up what it is that they're doing with Dak. And now the possibility is there's some outlandish, conspiracies about us being able to bring Dak in. This is silly season. We discussed this last week. This is beyond silly season right now, because all of this really is just founded in the fact that nobody knows what the hell is going on. And it's fun to speculate, but also let's not lose focus. That's just period. Errol, I really appreciate you always say that you bring common sense takes. I pride myself specifically on having that same frame of mind when we're discussing this team and discussing moves and players and coaches and all of that. I really do feel like I'm trying to cut down the BS. So here we are again. Sam Darnold coming back next season? No.
All right, Jimmy, floor is yours. Go for it.
So I think, and I've always been a proponent of small schools are really facing an uphill battle when you're talking about transitioning a quarterback to the next level. I totally agree. The competition is far less, but that doesn't mean the competition's not there. I mean, if we look, 2018, his freshman year, Zach Wilson beat Arizona, almost beat Cal. He beat Wisconsin. Got clapped up pretty hard by the Huskies, but yeah. He's played these types of schools. 2019, he beat Tennessee, he beat USC. USF, he almost beat USF. USF is a tough school. That's a good program over there.
Really solid competition.
So I mean, like the games are there, like this was my argument. I'm a Boise State Broncos fan, so this was my argument for Kellen Moore. He was very undersized, which is why he didn't transition very well, but he was one of the smartest players I've ever seen step onto a football field, which is why he made the offensive coordinator so quickly in the NFL. But I mean, we can't forget that Steve Young came from BYU. We can't forget that, Josh Allen is on fire coming from Wyoming. We can't forget all of the small school quarterbacks that have turned out to be great. I'm not saying it's the rule. Yeah, McNair. I think, no, Montana came from Notre Dame, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress a little bit here. My point is that teams like Boise State and BYU, we have to fight for those schedules. So while these big SEC schools are taking their build-up games in the non-conference schedule to prepare them for their tough conference schedule, Boise State, BYU, Hawaii, these types of schools are trying to get Ohio State, trying to get Florida, trying to get Alabama, trying to get, Clemson. And we do everything we can to kind of put ourselves in those positions to face that kind of competition. So I think, and again, I'm not saying there's a rule that small schools quarterbacks are going to be great, but there are plenty of examples. I also think that in regards to Darnold, I did a video on my new YouTube channel the other day, and I broke down some Sam Darnold game tape while he was at USC, where he had good coaching and he had the weapons and he had everything. And if USC, the Pac-12 was a weak conference during his time there. And he's throwing flat-footed. He's putting his weight on his front foot instead of driving into his throw. He's staring down routes. And he was doing this at USC. That's why you have 27 games, 37 turnovers. 38 games in the NFL, 59 turnovers. I'm not saying the Jets did him any favors, but
No, I think that the Jets systematically failed him, if you don't mind me jumping in for a moment.
no, please.
Regardless of the fact of how much of a bad quarterback you want to say Sam Darnold is, and there are people out there that will say Sam Darnold is a bad quarterback, and he'll be lucky if he gets a backup role in the NFL. And that may be true, but you know what? The New York Jets really didn't do him any favors by bringing him into a situation where he literally had no weapons, the worst offensive line in the league, and basically, you know, a quarterback's coach who was 5 years removed from the game as now your offensive coordinator / quarterback's coach. So whereas I feel like that if they would have retained John Morton the year before, I think that he would have probably been much better, suited. That's actually the proper way that I wanted to state it, to try to acclimate Sam Darnold into the pro game. That being said, could have also made an argument that Josh McCown should have been named the starter in Sam Darnold's first year, then take a page exactly how the Giants did with Eli Manning. You had Kurt Warner start for 8 games. After 8 games, you turn the keys over to the kid, and that's it. 2 Super Bowls later, everybody's talking about Eli Manning. Yeah, he wasn't the greatest quarterback. His stats don't back him up, but you know what? He's got 2 more Super Bowl. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings.
2 rings.
So
I think
what I don't understand is that why that simple blueprint could not be followed within the New York Jets organization. Are we that stupid?
Yeah.
That other teams are doing this and we can't do it because we have to systematically reinvent the wheel almost.
Yes,
every single time.
Every season. Look, Mark Sanchez, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold. I mean, what's the one, you know, kind of underlying factor here? All of those guys came out of college with, you know, high expectations. All of those guys really had, you know, serious levels of success in the college game, and they came here to an organization that had nothing to support them at all, nothing. So we failed them all. At this point in time, I think that's the reason why we have the feeling that we have of going into this season, because it honestly seems like we've addressed that issue, and going into next season, whoever it is that we bring in, they're going to be much more supportive than what it is that we've had, period.
Well, I think the Darnold's first year obviously was Bull's last year. I think Bulls was fighting for his job and he needed to make a splash. And he
got rid of Chan too, man.
Yeah, there's like Bulls had to pull out all the stops and give the Johnsons what they wanted, which was their flashy first round, you know, number 3 pick to get them on the field and make something happen. Yeah. I think that was a mistake. And again, I'm not like proper coaching would have fixed a lot of it. We'd be having a very different conversation if Sam had proper coaching. I'm not taking that away. I'm just saying that it's the same issues that he had when he had good coaching. It's like he hasn't progressed. And like CJ says, that at the end of the day, you're still the one out there throwing the ball. You're still the one out there having to make those decisions. And you're at the top level in the world. You have to be able to pull that trigger, and you have to be able to make those plays. Period.
It doesn't matter if you got Farmer Fran or you know, in your headset or Mr. Magoo or, you know, whoever. All right, you could have Yogi Bear in your headset. You need to be able as a 3rd-year player to figure it out. And the problem is that the kid hasn't figured it out on a consistent enough basis that you can look at him and look at that 5th-year option and say, yeah, okay, I think we can make this work. No, you can't.
CJ, and this is, and I understand what you guys are saying. you're watching a kid, and I understand he's regressed. How do you expect him to get better when you don't have the right coaching around him? Todd Bowles is the defensive coordinator. You bring in Bates. He's never been an offensive coordinator in his life. He was a quarterback coach. Then you bring in Adam Gase, who screwed him up even more. And then, yes, you don't put the players around him to succeed. The offensive line was better this year. Was it that much better? The answer is no. Mekhi Beckham is a star. We could see that. McGovern can't stay healthy. Font wasn't healthy all season long. They put him in the wrong position. McGovern should be a guard. Font should be a guard, and they should be looking for a right tackle. That's what they should be doing, or finding another center like Lindsley or somebody like that. That's what they should be doing. And I'm sorry, I still think Sam Darnold could be a franchise quarterback, and giving him the fifth-year option, $25 million, the Jets have money. And I think that the kid deserves an opportunity. He's 23, going to be 24 as the season begins. And I still think that if you put the right people around him and put him in the right system, systems change quarterbacks. Ask Ryan Tannehill. That's one. Or, oh, by the way, you can ask any quarterback that has gone on to different teams. That Jimmy Garoppolo, he went to the Kyle Shanahan offense. He looked great the first couple of games. He tore his ACL, and he's not the same quarterback. Go look at Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate. He hurt his knee. He's not the same quarterback. You got to protect your quarterback. You got to put him in the right positions to succeed. And they're not. The Jets have not done that. And for them to, for anybody to say to give up on this kid, even though maybe you should, and maybe you let him go somewhere else and let him succeed somewhere else and win a Super Bowl somewhere else, where Jet fans are sitting back and saying, whoa, why couldn't you do this with the Jets? I don't know. You had Cuckoo Eyes as your coach. Maybe you had Bates is your offensive coordinator, and Todd Bowles, who doesn't know where his ass is from his tailbone. So this is the problem, and I understand Jet fans. You wanted to suck for Sam. You got what you wanted, and now you want to give up on him after 2.5, 3 years. It's ridiculous. And I think and then you're going to bring in Zach Wilson. What's going to happen if Zach Wilson has a bad year or Justin Fields has a bad year? Oh, my God, we got to draft another quarterback. We got 2 first-round draft picks. This is the problem with Jets fans. You don't stick with the guy. Let the guy prove that he can play in this league. And I'm telling you right now, he'll go to San Francisco. He'll go wherever, and he will succeed. I guarantee it. He will succeed. And Jet fans are going to come back to this program a year and a half, 2 years from now and said, oh, my God, look how good Sam Darnold is. Here's the reason why. Good coaching and players around him makes a quarterback succeed.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's exactly what we've been saying, and we're getting up against it. So I'm going to finish as we lead into our next segment. One of the things though is that we all as Jet fans, we have become impatient because of the post-traumatic stress disorder that we've endured. We've been lied to. We've been promised, X, Y, and Z. We've been promised pie in the sky, and basically the only thing we got was a bag full of vomit. So, and unfortunately, that's going to lay at the feet of Woody Johnson. That's going to lay at the feet of every general manager not named Joe Douglas at this point because he hasn't done enough. But we need to as a franchise, just kind of like we need to trust in the process. And this is something that I've been talking about over the past few weeks that a lot of people have been getting aggravated about. We have no patience. We need to have patience. But unfortunately, we are basically hitting the reset button all over again this season. And that's why I think as low as expectations as we can have it. Now, we still don't know exactly what's going on. But when we get back, we're going to talk about this subject a little bit more. Plus, Mr. Kevin Jackson has a very special person in the White Hot Spotlight segment next coming up. So we will catch you guys on the flip side. You're listening to Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan broadcast here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Weapons Hot, a New York Jets podcast on the Sports War Radio Network, is brought to you by StatementGames.com. Want to take your fantasy game to the next level? Then make your statement. Weapons Hot has weekly tournaments during the NFL regular season that you, the fans, can join in on to win some really cool swag. Go to StatementGames.com and create an account today. It costs you nada. Zippo, absolutely nothing. Just like that, you're ready to join in on any one of dozens of tournaments going on at all major sports. So are you ready to make your statement? If so, go to statementgames.com. Again, that's statementgames.com.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC, annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit them online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com, or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan broadcast here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Sports Ball Radio, Snowman Digital Media, and quite frankly, any place where you get your New York Jets fix. CJ, the Painkiller DeSimone here, Mr. Kevin Jackson on the other side of the glass, Mr. Jimmy the Reaper Jardine joining us from his top secret bunker over there in Idaho, and our special guest, Mr. Errol Marks from the Worldwide Sports Radio Network studio, joining us today. And now we are going to be talking just really quick before we go into our White Hot Spotlight segment. I just want to give a shout out to everyone who is in the comments right now, interacting with us and watching us there at home. We thank you so much. We love you guys so much. Shout out to Daniel Feuerstein, Lino Cortina, the Greenhouse New York Jets football, Clarence Nixon, Dorothy Middleton Relling, Brandon Falco, who is also watching, Matthias Simon, Ray Millard, Bill Robinson. I think I mentioned Daniel Feuerstein, but if not, there you go. You got mentioned again, Daniel, so you should feel special. Make sure you break your arm patting yourself on the back. Mr. Adam Greenberg. I'd like to thank everyone who is commenting with us tonight, and just some interesting comments that we're seeing here. Shout out to Lino Cortina, bringing Fields and Wilson. Hopefully Fields, it will only cost us about $8-9 million a year. Ray Mollard chiming in. Justin Fields reminds me of a young Warren Moon. Dorothy Middleton Redding, keep Darnold, get better coaches and protection. So she's clearly on Errol's side.
No, Ma. That's my mother.
Greenhouse New York Jets football. once you do this to your quarterback and end up having to pay this guy now, forget it. I am not doing it. Draft a quarterback and then do right by him, not for $25 million. Rockaway Archie shooting in. What's up, fellas? Sorry I'm late. It's okay, Rockaway. You're always welcome. Lowell Litchmore just chiming in now, saying hello. So, there's a lot of different factions. There's a lot of different points of view in regards to whether or not we should keep Sam Darnold, whether or not we should trade Sam Darnold. It's going to be interesting to see how these coming weeks, as we start turning the page to the new NFL calendar, which begins on March 17th, ironically, how everything's going to shake out. So, that's why we're here separating the fact from fiction from you. Don't worry about the clickbait articles like the doofus who put out the report this morning about, Deshaun Watson being traded to the Bears for and a couple first-round picks, a slightly used jockstrap, and a bag of balls.
Yeah.
So, we don't know exactly who's going to get traded where. The QB carousel is still going on. So it's going to be interesting to see how the next few weeks play out. That's why the title of the show tonight is DEFCON 3.
CJ, I just want to step in for just 1 second. For all the fans out there, I am not saying to keep Sam Darnold. I'm not. I'm saying that I trust that Joe Douglas will make the right decision, whatever he does. But for anybody to think that Sam Darnold is done and he can't be a franchise quarterback in this league, the kid is still the third youngest starting quarterback in the NFL. Yeah. Still the third youngest starting quarterback in the NFL. So I think that if you put him on the right team or you put him with the right coaching and the right players around him and the right protection, he will succeed. I believe it. He's got the arm strength. He has the ability. He's mobile. He could do all those things. He's better out of the pocket than a lot of quarterbacks. I absolutely believe he could succeed. I know I'm reading what everybody is saying. I'm not saying to keep him. So I know a lot of people, when I'm sticking up for him, I'm sticking up for him because the kid hasn't had an opportunity. He hasn't had an opportunity to succeed. So I am sticking up for a kid that hasn't had the protection, hasn't had the weapons to succeed. Look, he had a 38-year-old running back running the ball for him last year. Are you kidding me? Come on, guys.
It was 943.
Well, listen,
what's wrong with being 38?
Yeah, right?
Right? Didn't we do show after show, Jax, you and I, where we defended Sam Darnold? We gave every reason in the world why we thought
ad nauseum
that this year was going to be the year that Sam Darnold was going to take that step. We had people who came on the show who called us crazy. There were people at us who told us we were homers. There were people out there that said they flew up when they listened to our shows because of how much we were singing Sam Darnold's praises, how we felt like that he, if given a legitimate chance, that he could go out there and be that franchise quarterback. And you know what? He didn't do it. And look, there's only so much you could blame on the offensive line. Yeah. There's only so much you could blame on coaching. And there's only so much you could blame on the lack of weapons.
Yeah, to Errol's point though, and this is, I think, let's just let this be. I would imagine that probably the bottom line to this entire situation. I don't think anyone is saying that Sam doesn't have the ability to be it. I think the difficulty comes in when we're trying to incorporate him into what it is that we are going to be doing here, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's the point. Bringing Sam back and having to go through the entire process of reformatting, whatever it is that he's got in his hard drive right now, that's not going to work for us. We've been talking about being patient for how many years now, CJ? I mean, if I don't have the t-shirt already, I got a leather jacket. But this is the thing: we can no longer expect that patience in dealing with a player that we've witnessed to be bad here for a long period of time is going to be enough for us to get over the hump. And again, I said it earlier, just to reiterate my position on this. I like Sam Darnold as a kid. I believe he's going to be a good player. It's just not going to be here. And it's just not going to be anytime soon. It's going to be one of those situations where, again, I was hoping personally that he would get one of those golden parachutes like Steve McClendon got, like Le'Veon Bell got, where you get sent to a team that actually has a chance for you to be, put in a position to be successful. And Sam needs a veteran quarterback that he can sit behind, that he can work out the kinks mentally, psychologically, and of course physically, because he's got some technical things that he needs to work out as well. He needs a situation where he can go sit and learn and excuse me, unlearn, because I'm just going to be honest with you. Everybody I think has discussed this. The coach who we will not be named probably did more damage to Sam Darnold than what it is that he did
Jesus
to help
trash. I mean, seriously, he should have never even made it out of the 2019 season.
There's no argument about that. And also just to keep this in perspective, because I think again this is an underrated aspect of what Adam Gase has done to this team. We also picked a quarterback in the 4th round last season who actually had some talent, who actually was given some credit for being what possibly could be a strong backup for us here. If Sam was getting the kind of coaching that he was getting, just imagine the kind of coaching that kid was getting. So right. I don't want to write off Mr. Captain Morgan just quite yet either, because I think that in the right situation, he could be a serviceable backup, which is really what it is that we need. Instead of going to spend, how many ever millions of dollars to get a guy to come in. I don't necessarily know if I would choose to do that.
We're going to bring him back in. He's going to wheel his wheelchair and his crutches out.
Oh, hell no. Oh, yeah, excuse me. No Flacco. But look. If we're gonna look for a guy in that same vein, I mean, there are options out there. I think again, we do we've already, all of us have espoused how much it is that we have confidence in Joe Douglas. At this point, he's gonna have to earn it, man. I mean, I believe that he can, but he's gonna have to earn it. So we'll see how it breaks down. I think all of the discussion about saying how many of the people within the organization are ready to move on from Sam, I think that it just, to me, it appears to be effective self-scouting.
I think it's mostly right now it's timing. Okay, because we have to make a decision on a 5th-year option. We can decline a 5th-year option, but the issue with that is that decreases Sam's value in a potential trade after that fact. He's about to get expensive. I know we have the money, but it's about the cost versus the production.
Exactly.
So I think it is in Sam's best interest to go somewhere else, even though we're getting that new coaching stuff. I think it's in Sam's best interest. It's also in the Jets' best interest, just from the timing aspect of this whole thing. If we had another year on it, like if he was going into his, like if 2021 would have been his 3rd year, I'm all for it. Let's give him another shot. But with it coming down, and then you also got to compare it to the options we have available. A Justin Fields, a Zach Wilson, a Mac Jones, a Kyle Trask. I won't say Trey Lance because
do not bring Kyle Trask. Oh my God.
I like the guy. I like the guy.
Look, I think he's got potential. I think he really does have some things that a lot of coaches are going to like.
Quarterback in the SEC.
I get all of that. And look, again, we kicked around quarterbacks last week when I was talking about Trey Lance. I still think Trey Lance has probably the most high ceiling of everybody coming out at this point in time. I'll just be honest. I think right now we just can't look at what it is that he's done and say that he's earned the right to be in that conversation just quite yet. Even though
17 games at a D1A school, 1AA school,
that's not enough.
That's tough.
Even being as ridiculously dominant as he was,
totally.
You kind of can't do it. But
again, that school North Dakota State doesn't have the opportunity to play a USC or an Alabama or what I mean.
He just beat the brakes off of everybody that they put in front of him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he did.
All right, guys, it is now time for Mr. Kevin Jackson's solo segment as he takes us in the spotlight.
In the spotlight with
Kevin Jackson.
Jackson, who do we got in the spotlight tonight?
I kind of wanted to put my sunglasses on for this one, but I'm just going to keep it real, guys. Tonight in the spotlight, really simple, Marcus May. We've had a lot of conversations this evening about team composition, about coaching, about player personnel, who it is that we haven't had, who it is that we needed to have, who it is that we let go, all of these different things we've kind of touched upon at some point in time or another. And going forward towards the end of the show, we're going to have some conversations about who it is that we're going to bring in. I have to say that the reason why Mr. Marcus May is in the spotlight tonight really kind of plays a role in every single aspect of these conversations, because he's coming up on a contract situation here. Are we going to re-sign him? Are we going to extend him? How much is he worth? Have we looked at him and determined that he is worth keeping? And if anybody has any questions about that, why don't you agree with the fact that he should be? I just have to just throw that out there. But Marcus May is in the spotlight tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because I think how it is that we handle Marcus May in this situation, what Joe Douglas does to offer him the extension, to make sure that he stays with us as long as we believe. And I don't, I'm not going to speak for you guys, but as long as I believe that he should be, I think we should give him a long-term deal. I think we should pay him decent to above average money. I think we should do it ASAP. I think that sends a message not only to the players on our team, but also to prospective free agents who might be interested in coming to us here, that if you come here and you play well,
we will take care of you.
We'll pay you, and we'll take care of you, and we'll keep you here. And if we're talking about changing the culture and building a franchise that again, CJ, we've said this word, sustainable success, sustainable, something that we can do every single year. The way that you do that, the way that you build that, the way that you solidify that foundation is by cementing in foundational pieces like Marcus May, period. Listen, we can discuss the stats. Played 95% of the snaps as a rookie, then got hurt a little bit, missed quite a bit of the second season, but played 100% of the snaps last season, did it at a high level, made multiple plays in situations in the game where you need for your playmakers to step up and make plays, and he did it. 6 interceptions, almost 100 some odd yards in reception returns, shut down capability. Listen, transitioning to be able to play at the line and play back in the deep. Man, look, Marcus May, the argument can be made for him being one of the most important and impactful defensive players that we have on this roster. I don't think anybody should have any questions about if we should bring him back. I know that there's going to be some ridiculous questions about what it is that we should pay him. I'm not saying he's a $20 million a year guy or anything like that, but I really do think that whatever is at the high end of the safety market, I think that's what we should pay him. I think we should give him at least a 3 to 4 year contract, and I think we need to get it done before all of this nonsense happens with the draft and everything else. I think this is an ASAP situation for us. But the reason, again, just to clarify, the reason why Marcus May is in the spotlight is because if Joe Douglas does not do this, I think it hurts how it is that this organization is going to be perceived about how it is that we've turned the corner with regards to taking care of our players. We've always had a bad reputation for allowing guys to overperform and then letting them go because we didn't want to pay them, or letting guys go at the prime of their career because we felt like we didn't need them and we thought that we can go with a lower priced option that obviously, just based on looking at what it is that we saw, has never panned out when it comes to high performance player.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus May checks all the boxes, man. Leader in the locker room, one of the best players on the field, has been here. And I mean, I think has quelled all the injury concerns by playing 100% of the snaps last season after the knock on him coming out of his second year was that he was going to be hurt and wouldn't be able to, to stay healthy and wouldn't be able to be on the field. I think he's answered all of those questions. I think as of right now, this is one of those transitional decisions for Joe Douglas. So more than just Marcus May, I think in the spotlight this week, I think so is Joe Douglas. But the fact of the matter is, I think we should pay him. I mean, I don't know. In the spotlight, Marcus May, guys. What do you think? Am I off? What do you think? Talk to me.
All right, Arrow, I'm going to tee this one up to you. Then we'll circle back around to the Reaper, and then I'll finish it up.
Well, the Jets had a leader, and we finally saw somebody that took control of that defense, not Jamal Adams screaming in the huddle saying, win, 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 when they didn't win, and then run away. I hate Jamal Adams. I never liked him when they drafted him. I never liked him on and off the field. That's why I never even reached out to interview him. I think Marcus May is a leader. He's a born leader. I think you can build your defense around guys like Marcus May and Quinn Williams, young guys, young leaders. You need that in your huddle. And I think Marcus May, what he did this year showed you that he can be an elite safety in the league. He can play strong safety. He could play anything. You can move him to corner. He can cover. He can get to the quarterback. So I agree with you. I think that they have to pay him. I don't know what you do. When it comes to the contract, do you give him a $47 million contract? You're not going to have to pay him Jamal Adams money, the $90 to $100 million, but you want to pay him where he's going to be happy and he's going to play hard and he's going to try to stay as healthy as possible where he could succeed and give the Jets an opportunity to win a Super Bowl that they haven't won in 50 years. So you absolutely have to extend him with a contract.
All right, Jimmy, talk to me.
I think Errol said it the best. He's a leader, and I think that goes a long way. He's a leader with talent, and he's a leader with elite talent, and I think that he deserves to be in the conversations. I'm looking at the highest paid safeties right now: Budda Baker, Eddie Jackson, Kevin Byard, Tyrann Mathieu. I would be perfectly happy giving Marcus May a 4-year deal for 15 per. So a 4 year, $60 million. And that makes him the highest paid safety by about $250,000, albeit, on the grand scheme of things, not so much. But when you can approach Marcus May and say, hey, we want to make you the highest paid safety in the NFL, I think that says a lot. That speaks to the relationship. And I totally agree. I think it's 100% a must do. I think Marcus May is a vital piece of this organization. And he's a piece of this organization that Jamal Adams never was. I can't stand Jamal Adams either, Errol. I hate that guy. But
I never liked him, Jimmy. I never liked him. Anybody that listens to my show has heard me say it. He didn't want to be a Jet. He never wanted to be a Jet. And you watch, he's going to flee Seattle and he's going to go to the Cowboys. Watch. But take these words from my lips. He is going to leave just like Russell Wilson wants out of Seattle as well. He is going to flee just like Russell Wilson will flee Seattle.
And I said that on the show more than I think it was the time when he was talking about the whole depression thing that really upset me.
Yep.
Because I have a degree in psychology and I deal with abnormal psychology like that, with depression, bipolar and everything. And I really had something to say about that. And I said then that Jamal Adams is going to be on his third team in the next 2 years max. So like that aside, I think Marcus May, kind of bringing it back to the real hero in our defensive backfield. I am most definitely not opposed to giving him $15 million a year for 4.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, just want to scroll through some of the comments because everyone's kind of chiming in on this. There are a large portion of the people that are in the comments tonight. Everyone wants to re-sign May. Some of the contracts that I'm seeing here is I don't see anything wrong with giving him a 3-year, $40 million deal. Shout out to Lino Cortina for that. Rockaway Archie actually chimed in, give him a 5-year deal up front, shows our plans of him not going anywhere. This club needs to start backing their players and awarding them properly. Shout out to Frankie Ingaglia. Thank you for joining the show, Frank.
Hey, Frank.
$10 million a year on a 4-year contract for May.
I think that's a little short.
That puts him outside the top 10.
$10 million a year. The cap is dropping this year. No way. No, I think it'll be fine.
You can backload that contract.
Right. You could always backload it. You could always give him guaranteed. You could always give him like $28 million guaranteed or something to that effect. Something to sweeten the pot, where it's not going to count as so much money against the cap. And if you put it where he's going to make more deal on the back, where he's going to make more money on the back end of the deal, it'll definitely help out the Jets in the long run. I mean, look, as far as salary cap situation goes, the New York Jets are in potential for not just this season, but next season and the season after that to have the potential of anywhere between 100 million and possibly 140 million in cap space every single year with the rolling average. So
I just want to kind of reiterate this. The reason why Marcus May is in the spotlight this week is because he's a culture change type of a player.
Yes.
Period. Okay. And we're going to throw out numbers and all of these things are going to be subjective and we'll see how it actually does shake out. But the bottom line about why it is that Marcus May was selected to be in the spotlight is because this is where we recognize the culture change. Are we going to pay a guy that has been exactly what it is that we've needed, has exceeded all expectations with regards to where it is that we brought him in, and even having to undergo all of the drama of saying, why did we pick 2 safeties back to back? I think it was unnecessary for us to pick Marcus May, who ends up now being exactly the player that we thought we were going to get with the first round guy that we brought in at the same position. So this is a culture change move for me, guys. The money is secondary. I'll just be honest. I think we should pay him. Yes, we should pay him. He's earned it.
Yeah.
What he does for the locker room, what he does for our own self-respect when it comes to how it is that the fans see this team, how free agents see this team. Bringing back Marcus May is a no-brainer, and I think it actually is something that most definitely needs to be done. Period.
I would ask the chat if they think Marcus May is better than an Eddie Jackson or Kevin Byard. Because if you do, my point.
Who?
So if you do if you think that Marcus May brings more to a team than an Eddie Jackson, who's getting $14.6 million right now, why wouldn't you put him on that level? $10 million a year for 4 years, $40 million.
Look, we as Jets fans, you're gonna hear these ridiculous numbers. We always want to lowball guys that are our top performers. This whole conversation goes back to a triggering conversation for me with Robbie, because everybody said Robbie wasn't worth it. Everybody said blah blah blah. We pay him $7 million, and if he doesn't like it, kick rocks. That's stupid. The guy was our best receiver in that situation. So I mean, I know there's some questions about that, whatever, but the fact of the matter is that when we're talking money, when we're talking contracts, I think a lot of people lose sight of really what it is that we're dealing with guys who come here and they perform here for us. Marcus May shouldn't have any questions. Marcus May is not a one-trick pony. Marcus May isn't, an over-the-hill guy. Marcus May isn't any of those things. Marcus May is, as I stated in my initial rant, Marcus May is a team leader. He is well respected in the locker room and on the field, period.
So Kevin, giving him 3 years, $45 million isn't enough? I think that's a good contract.
No, listen, that is something that I would say would be baseline for me.
That's a good contract.
I hear, CJ posed out, who was it, Lino, that said
15 a year.
10 million a year is lowball for me, and we're gonna hear that. They're gonna be kicking around numbers because everybody's gonna say, yeah, we shouldn't overpay. We shouldn't overpay. I don't necessarily think that's
I don't believe that's overpaying, because look, the New York Jets' biggest problem is that players that we draft, we don't take care of them, and then they leave here and then they go ball out someplace else. They go get that big contract someplace else, and then you know what? Jet fans are sitting here with, that could have been us. That could have been us, but the Jets are cheap. The Jets have always been notoriously cheap. And the problem is that if you truly want to change the culture, if you truly want to have the optic that you take care of your players, you come play for us, you ball out for us, we're going to pay you. We're going to take care of you. You have to do it.
You can live here.
You can't just talk about it. You have to do it. So you know what? If it takes $15 million per to get Marcus May signed, do it. If you have to go and sign Jamison Crowder to another 3-year deal, you do it. All this talk about Jamison Crowder being a cap casualty is just a complete ridiculousness.
Over 10
You're
million.
not going to cut your most productive offensive player. You're not going to do it. That's like cutting off your nose and your ears to spite your face.
Look, I think as always, Jimmy comes in, he knocks out of the park because he's bringing up names of guys that are getting paid that same money. And my first response again is, who are we talking about? We don't even know these guys. These guys, it's not Pro Bowl caliber. These guys aren't showing up in your highlight feeds every week. No. We have Marcus May. Pay him.
Justin Simmons.
Exactly.
Yeah, pay him.
Kareem Jackson.
Stop. Yeah. Who?
Anthony Harris.
Pay him.
Just give the kid his money.
So I mean, for me, like this is just a no-brainer. I seriously believe that Joe Douglas is going to get Marcus May signed. I really think that this conversation is probably being had behind closed doors. Sure. You notice a lot of things with this offseason. Joe Douglas is playing it incredibly close to the vest, just like he did last season, where not a lot of leaks. You're not hearing a lot of things coming out of New York on Jets Drive, which is a good thing, and that's the way that it should be. Because, at this time last year, we were all pissing and moaning about Jamal Adams. So, this offseason.
I wasn't. I was happy. I was happy when he got traded. And
I called it.
The fleecing. Joe Douglas absolutely fleeced the Seattle Seahawks. They're probably crying right now because Russell Wilson wants out and Jamal Adams is going to want out 2 years from now too, because they can't franchise him 2 years, because then you're going to overpay him. You're going to pay a safety $22-23 million a year. They're not doing that. He's going to go to the Cowboys and he's going to suck for the Cowboys. So good luck to Jamal Adams and his father. Go cry in your room to your father every single day. Farewell, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, basically at this point, you know, the New York Jets have to do right by their players at the end of the day. Yeah. And I think that this is a very big first step by doing that. If they go and they sign Marcus May, they keep Jamison Crowder, which I'm pretty sure that they will. You know, this is how you build your foundation, because you're tired of saying, okay, we have to add talent. We can't replace talent. And you know what? Shout out to Daniel Smith from the Jets Guru. He actually brought this up on his show on Thursday night, and he brought up a lot of good points about it. And one of the things is that the New York Jets haven't been adding talent to this roster. They've been replacing talent. It's like you get a good player, and then you take that good player out, you throw them away, and then you put another player in to replace them, thinking you're going to get the same production because you're trying to bargain basement shop. And you know what? You're not going to be able to do that. So, you know, these are all things, again, that we need to kind of keep an eye on. Plus, on top of it, you're starting to see a lot of cuts as teams have to get under that salary cap by, I believe, March 15th or something like that is the deadline before it starts rolling over into the next calendar year, where you're going to start seeing a lot of big names being cut the closer and closer and closer we get to March 17th, because there's like what? There's 11 teams that are grossly over the salary cap. They're going to have to that are going to have to get under that salary cap by March 16th before the league year rolls over. And so there's going to be a lot of big names out there.
You got to think the numbers that they're going to try to get rid of are going to just justify that there are going to be some really talented players.
And those guys out there that are going to be cut because of their high end contracts, guess what? They're not going to get re-signed to the same type of contract that they were from their previous teams. They're just going to be looking for a job. So there's going to be some good players out there that teams are going to be able to have somewhat favorable negotiations where it will favor the team that's picking up that player, because this is how it is. This is what happens when you play in a salary cap sport.
I love it.
So, you know, the NFL has you know, had the luxury of not really having a hard flat cap, but now thanks to COVID, we're going to get to see some things here that we've never seen in this sport before, where we've seen in other professional sports. So it's going to be curious to see exactly how all of this shakes out. So when we get back, ladies and gentlemen, it is now going to be time for Jimmy the Reaper segment as we start talking about pass rushers, who the Jets should pursue in free agency and also in the draft, plus our final thoughts segment as we finish it up. You are listening and watching Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan broadcast here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm going to keep ticking. But no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, everyone. Let's all stop what we're doing right now and take a moment. That felt good, huh? Just like that, we had a nice, special sort of moment together. Of course, they don't all need to be quiet moments to be special. They could be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. Sounds like somebody agrees. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Today, call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
It's Meals on Wheels. 1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
All right, guys, welcome back to Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan broadcast here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Sports War Radio, Snowman Digital Media, and quite frankly, every place where you get your New York Jets fix. CJ the Painkiller DeSimone here, Kevin Jackson, Mr. Spotty Blackman there, Jimmy the Reaper Jardine from his top secret bunker over in Idaho, and our very special guest from the Worldwide Sports Radio Network,
the boss,
the boss, Mr. Errol Marks. Really quick before we go over to Jimmy's segment, I want to give a shout out to Gotham City Crew for this really, really cool t-shirt that they are putting out, T-shirts for a cause. Check it out right over here, the All Gas No Break t-shirt. I'm trying to get it, center it with the camera. There you go. All right. So in order to get your hands on one of these bad boys, go to GothamCityCrew.com, go to Tees for a Cause.
For a cause, definitely.
Supplies last. CJ, Kevin, and Jimmy from Weapons Hot sent you. They will take care of you. give a shout out to my boy Claudio Paulo and Gotham City Crew for all the good stuff, all the hard work that they do over there. You guys are the best, and we love you guys so much.
Beyond the shirts, there's quite a few other fan, articles that you can pick up there. Really, really good guys. Tailgate monsters also. So yeah, man. Let's big up Gotham City Crew. Thanks again, guys, for the shirt. Appreciate it. Obviously, you can see Fitz lady was touching on my chest earlier. You know what I'm saying? So good looking out. Thank you.
Listen, I don't want to hear about your Tuesday night. Okay, stop. All right, so. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn the mic over to Jimmy the Reaper Jardine as we start talking about pass rushers. Jimmy, talk to me. Who do you got on your plate, brother?
So obviously we haven't had a pass rusher for a long time, like legitimate, and it's something that needs to change, and it needs to change now. It needs to change this year. There's a bunch of flashy names out there. Yannick Ngakoue is a free agent this year. Jadeveon Clowney is a free agent again. I like Yannick. I do like Yannick, and I think he could be an asset and wouldn't be too bad as far as cap cost. But there's some people that I like more. But a couple names that I wanted to touch on was Shaq Barrett and Bud Dupree. I'm actually putting these guys in my no category, believe it or not. Bud Dupree ended 2020 with 8 sacks, 31 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and one of my favorite stats, QB hits. And I think QB hits gets overshadowed quite a bit by sacks. But every time a defender hits a quarterback, there's memory there.
Flinch reflex.
That quarterback remembers that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's I think it's a vitally important stat. Dupree's injury really scares me. He's currently got a market value of 18.2 million, so I don't think that he has enough production for that type of a cost. The other name, Shaq Barrett. First and foremost, I don't think Tampa Bay is gonna let this guy go. I think they're gonna do what they can to keep him. And I really think Shaq Barrett likes it down there in Tampa, so I think he'd be willing to work with him as far as cap concerns. Finished out 2020 with 8 sacks, 57 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 16 QB hits. But that was a pretty big drop-off from his NFL-leading 2019 season of 19.5 sacks. So not saying that, obviously that could be an anomaly. I'm not saying he's going downhill. It's just 1 year, and it was a tough year all around. But my yes guys that I like in free agency is LA Rams defensive end Leonard Floyd. I like Leonard Floyd with 10.5 sacks, 55 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 19 QB hits last year. Because we all know Aaron Donald takes up a lot of that offensive line, so it lets the other guys around him shine. He's not my top pick, but because of that fact, I think if he's a premier pass rusher, I think we would probably end up seeing a lot of what happened with Jadeveon Clowney in Seattle. Like, he had J.J. Watt when he was in Houston, so he produced a little bit better, but couldn't do it when he's on his own. I still think Leonard Floyd could be really good. He's got a 13 million market value, so he's productive and he's inexpensive. So I like that. My top guy in free agency, and this is a gigantic possibility for the New York Jets.
Drum roll, please.
He is a free agent. He is coming out of the New Orleans Saints organization because they really will not be able to sign anybody in free agency.
Okay.
So it's going to be rough, but I want Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is a defensive end, so he's a down player, so he's a down defensive end, so he's used to playing in a 4-3 scheme, which would be perfect for our defense. This guy ended 2020 with 13.5 sacks. Now, tackles, he didn't do a whole lot in tackles, just 25, but 12 of those were tackles for loss. And get this, 25 QB hits. So he's almost hitting the quarterback at least twice a game. And right now he's only 26 years old, and he has a market value of 10.3 million. So I think if we were to say, let's call it 3 years, 12 million per, I think that is an absolute answer at the edge rush position. But we can't just stop in free agency. We have to do something to build even longer term or get more help on the line anyway.
Yeah.
We look to the draft in this aspect, and Patrick Jones is my choice. I think we can probably get Patrick Jones in the 3rd round, and he can be with somebody like a Trey Hendrickson on the opposite side. Patrick Jones he's also a defensive end. He's a natural defensive end, not an outside linebacker. So he's going to be good in a 4-3, but he's got one of the most insane first steps and explosiveness off the line that I've seen in a long time. He's got the bend ability for an end, to bend around tackles. He can swim move or he can bull rush. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the strength. I think he's an all around good edge rusher. Somebody to bring in the 3rd round of the draft, so he wouldn't be a cap hit almost at all. So I love Patrick Jones. He played 40 games in Pitt, 21 and a half sacks over that time, 112 tackles, 32 tackles for loss. I like his repertoire. I think he can learn from somebody like Hendrickson, and I think he could be really productive. What do you guys think?
All right, so I'm going to pass this off to the boss, and then we'll swing back around to Jax, and I will follow up the rear.
Got it.
Well, there's a couple of them that really stand out to me going into the offseason. Judon is a guy that I do not believe Baltimore will sign. They're either going to decide, they're going to have to decide if they're going with Ngagwe or they're going with Judon. I would take either or. Also, you can get Vic Beasley on a cheap 4-3 defense. You're moving to the 4-3 defense. Vic Beasley comes from the 4-3 defense from Atlanta. You're not going to have to overpay him. You can bring him off the bench. You can use him in so many different ways. That's what you want to do. You want to find gems. That's what the Jets need to do, because to me, they're not going to spend all their money this year when they have money to spend next year. The free agency market is going to be really, really good next year and the year after that. And Joe Douglas, he doesn't overpay players, aka what he did last year. He gives them 2 to 3 year deals. If you prove yourself your first year, we're going to extend your contract and we're going to move on with your contract. If you don't play well, we're going to get rid of you. We don't know what they're going to do with George Font. We don't know what they're going to do with McGovern. Lindsley, what he's going to do. He's going to build through the trenches. With Robert Saleh there, they're going to be looking for pass rushers. But here's the thing. When you spread a 4-3 defense, guess who's going to see the quarterback more? Quinnen Williams. You're not going to need the dominance of an edge rusher anymore because you're spreading out the 4-3. It's not a 3-4 when you're clustered in the middle when you have to use your linebackers. Here's another thing. CJ Mosley is coming back. He is 100% healthy, and they're saying he's in the best shape of his career. Now you can do things with CJ Mosley in the middle of the field, maybe move him into the edge or move him somewhere in the middle of the field where you can rush and bull rush in the middle of the field with Quinnen Williams, which will open up sectors of that defense where you're going to be able to get to the quarterback in all different ways. So you do not spend and overspend for a pass rusher. If you do overspend for a pass rusher, you have to go after the guy that really stands out in the 4-3. Judon is not from a 4-3 defense. He's from a 3-4 defense or a hybrid defense, but you can do a lot of things with Judon, and he's still very young. So if the Jets are going to make a move, I go after Judon. You won't have to overpay for him. I think you can bring him from Baltimore for about $60 million, pay him 4 to 5 years, give him a boatload of money in the beginning, in the first 2 years of his contract. And if you don't like him, you get rid of him after 2 years. So that's where I would go. Vic Beasley is a guy that sticks out to me. You could bring him on the cheap, and I think he'll flourish in Robert Saleh's defense.
He had that connection with Ulbrich as well.
And yeah, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth, considering Vic Beasley is an underrated selection specifically for that point. I think Jeff Ulbrich knows how to use him, but I also think that Jeff Ulbrich coming in and bringing that system in has pieces here that will allow him to be a lot more flexible with all of those pieces if he brings in a guy like Vic Beasley, who he already understands and who he already knows. I have to just got to throw this out there. I disagree wholeheartedly with Earl with the fact that pass rusher isn't an important aspect of what it is that we're going to need to do in our defense. The fact of the matter is that we've always had a pretty decent rush up the middle. The problem is that we haven't had that outside pass rusher to complement it, to make it stronger, and to give that other kind of dynamic and dimension to a defense that has always been pretty decent in other places. As of right now, that is, outside of cornerback, that is our glaring weakness on this defense. Yeah, I mean, CJ Mosley coming back is going to add a boost to our linebacking core, and then obviously that's going to do some other things for us. But without a pass rush, guys, I don't think we'll ever see that top 5 ranked defense without bringing in a guy that is going to strike fear in the hearts of offensive linemen on the outside if we don't have a pass rusher coming in. So Vic Beasley, I do kind of like that name. Judon, I'm good with Judon. I like Jim's guys coming out of college in particular. I personally, and I'm just going to be honest with you because I think this is maybe an underrated kind of a selection, but I like Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan. I mean, I know he's not a flash guy, but I think that for what it is that he's doing and what it is that I think that we're going to do here, he wins at the point of attack. He wins with his hands. If we can bring in a guy and add him into what it is that we're doing here, I'm not saying it's a out of the park, scary, splashy type of a player, but I think that he's going to be very, very competent and functional in what it is that we're trying to get done. Not only that, but I think that there'll be an added dimension to our special teams also, which you guys know and you hear me talk about all the time. I think is an underrated aspect of what it is that we do on this team. So it's going to be really interesting to see what it is that they do, because I said if we're going to spend in free agency, we're going to need to spend offensive line and pass rusher. Those would be my top 2 choices. And then obviously a cornerback I think is most definitely necessary. But at this point in time, there's a lot of names. The problem is that we've spent a lot of money on names, and those names haven't really brought about
do you
the
really
production.
Kevin, do you really think that this is a class that you're going to overspend for a pass rusher? The answer is no.
You mean as far as free agency is concerned?
Yes, I can't overpay any of these guys.
It's the Jets, man. I'm just going to be honest with you. We're probably not going to get one of the top tier guys without really having to pay them at this
How about
point.
bringing Leonard Williams back? How about bringing Leonard Williams back? Look what he did in a 4-3 defense in Ramsey's defense. Why? You're a 4-3 defense. He flourished in a 4-3 defense. You could put him on the outside like the Giants did.
There's a statistic that says that if people have been married once and they get married again, the divorce rate is like 30%
14
higher.
sacks.
No.
He fits that defense.
Yeah,
he does. And you can put him on the edge. You can possibly move Quinn Williams to the outside if he wants to lose some weight, which he said he does.
See, now what we're doing now, we're starting to do things to the defense that we know for a fact, or we're unsure about how it's going to work. Quinn Williams is not an exterior defensive lineman. He's an interior defensive lineman. That's what we brought him in for. Now we start talking about bringing in guys that are going to move guys that we've already seen be effective to other positions. I think that's a mistake, and that's a recipe for a disaster.
No. What did the Giants do? What did the Giants do with Leonard Williams?
You know what?
They used him on the outside.
I don't care. He was a scrub when he was here. That's why we let him go.
He was a scrub because he played in a 3-4. This is a 4-3 defense. This fits what he does. He has flourished in a 4-3. I've been saying that for years with the Jets.
Until we see what this defense is going to look like here, I'm not taking that chance on that guy. And I'll just say this. This is my personal opinion on Leonard Williams. He doesn't have it in here. He was never a dog to me. He was always a decent player. He's never been a dog to me, ever. And I don't trust it. If the coaches see something else that they feel comfortable with, me personally, no.
Pass rushing is all about scheme. You know this.
I don't like it.
And the scheme did not fit Leonard Williams. He goes to a 4-3 defense and he flourishes. I've been saying this for years. And watch Quinn Williams. Quinn Williams had 7.5 sacks and he missed the last 3 games of the season. I'm going to guarantee you, if Quinn Williams plays in 16 games, 15 games, he's going to have close to 15.5, 16 sacks this year because it's a 4-3. It spreads out the offense and it opens up the gaps to the middle. And that's what's going to happen. And Leonard Williams, he could still, I don't care what anybody says in this chat right now, because Leonard Williams, watch what he did in Ramsey's defense this year on the outside. He dominated in a 4-3 edge.
Outside pass rush is what it is that we need to focus on. Interior, I think we're good, man. I mean, just think about it this way. I personally don't think that Leonard Williams is better than John Franklin Myers, and that's just my opinion. Okay, but I think that with the guys that we have on this line that are already doing what it is that they're doing here, outside pass rush should be a priority. I think when we start to try muddying the waters and bringing in interior guys, I think that completely changes the conversation about what it is that we need right now. But again, I'll just qualify it by say this. We really aren't sure what this defense is going to look like just yet because they haven't fielded it.
I got to say, to Errol's point, Leonard Williams did just come off a 2020 year with 11.5 sacks, 57 tackles.
No, I saw that. I saw that.
14.
This is something that's been bouncing around Twitter for the past couple of weeks. I'll just be honest. I've seen it in a few different places. I don't care.
By the way, I've got 1,600 people that follow me on Twitter. I'm not on it a lot, and people write to me all the time. I want to apologize. I will start using my Twitter. So all the fans that are reaching out to me, I want to apologize. I am going to start using my Twitter. When I looked at how many people follow me, I was like so surprised. The last time I posted something was last year.
All right, so now there's a couple of names that I want to throw out there that I'm actually curious to get your opinions on, as far as edge rushers is concerned. Hassan Reddick, edge rusher from Arizona. He's 26 years old. He's somebody I wouldn't mind taking a look at.
Who's the kid from Cincinnati, man? Why am I drawing a blank on his name right now?
The kid from Cincinnati. You have Olivier Vernon. He's 30.
Yeah, no, not
There's also somebody else out of Cincinnati who is also an edge rusher as well.
I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Oh man, come on.
Well, if I come across him, there's Trey Hendrickson, edge out of New Orleans. A lot of people are talking about. You guys talked about Judon. Here's another name that I want to throw up here, believe it or not, because I don't, he's not a high rated, but he is in the top 100 of the.
You're talking about Geno Atkins in Cincinnati?
No.
One of the guys that I did want to bring up over here is Tysus Bowser out of Baltimore. Okay, 26 years old, does play in that scheme. There's also Takaris McKinley from the Raiders, 25 years old. So somebody who is out there and could possibly be available. So
I think he's an underrated. I like that guy. He's got a strong foundation, I think.
Shout out to Lino Cortina. He's calling out Kevin Jackson over here. Kevin said it doesn't matter what you think about Williams. He can go kick rocks at his best rock voice.
He says Lino will say it and he'll go.
And by the way, I'm reading. I don't know who wrote this. It says, I don't know what a 4-3 defense is. 4-3 defenses opens up the middle of the field. Why do you think all the big men, the defensive tackles, are the ones that usually get the sacks in a 4-3 defense? I wonder why. It's because of the defense.
4 linebackers, 3 down linemen, a lot of
3 linebackers. Yep.
Yeah,
that's a 3-4. 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers is the 4-3.
Kevin, the guy
I'm sorry, my bad.
Talking about is Carl Lawson.
Yeah,
that's who I was talking about.
Okay.
I thought you said Geno Atkins.
I did, and then I was like, oh no, wait, Carl Lawson.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear that. My bad. Yeah, Carl Lawson, who I was talking about. Excuse me. As soon as you said the name, I'm just like, why couldn't I think of that? Yeah, that's him. I think that kid has I think he's got upside, boy. I think he's got upside.
Well, I think another guy out there, and I know you guys are going to laugh at me. Okay, so my homerism is coming through, but you know who I expect to actually have a much better season than he did last year?
Jordan Jenkins?
No.
Ooh, don't do that. Okay.
You guys know who I got my eye on this defense. I know Kevin knows. Kevin knows, and he was not used a lot last year because he was used improperly.
Yeah.
Okay, draft pick from the 3rd round, Jabari Zuniga.
Zuniga, I knew it.
Zuniga came from a 4-3 defense at the University of Florida, and everybody forgot because this kid was hurt. But when this kid was on the field, he was very, very disruptive in that backfield, and also provided that edge from the left pass rush. Okay, so I think that with this new scheme, the Jets going to a 4-3. I'm telling you right now, I think that, I really think Jabari Zuniga is going to have a bounce back year in that rotation. Another guy nobody's really talking about a lot who actually had a really good season last year, Foronsu Fatukasi.
Yeah.
John Franklin Myers.
Look,
this is actually going to benefit
defensive
them
line
going to going to a 4-3 defense because now they're going to be able to pin their ears back. The double teams are not necessarily going to be there because if you double team somebody, that means somebody else is running free on the edge. So you are going to have to account for all of those players coming in. So now the question is that if CJ Mosley can come back and he can actually be the player that he was for 3.5 quarters versus the Buffalo Bills when we first signed him, would he be able to come back in? And then another question, I know that we talked about this a couple of shows ago, but Patrick Onwuasor, who they actually brought over to play with CJ Mosley, really did not get a lot of run last year because he was injured. Do you possibly see him making an impact or having an impact on the linebacking core going forward? And who else would you like to see the Jets target? We'll start with Jimmy, we'll circle to the boss, and then we'll finish up with Jax.
Works.
Who are we targeting? Well, I didn't hear the question.
All right, so the question is, okay, let me repeat.
I'm sorry, man. Okay.
This beautiful setup. I put it on the tee for you. How do you whiff?
I got nothing, man. I just didn't hear it.
Reaper, you're killing me, dude. All right,
he has nothing. Yeah, he has nothing. He definitely has somebody.
Yeah, he's got somebody. Yeah. So the question that I asked is talking about Patrick Onwuasor. Mm-hmm. Do we think that he's going to come back? Will the Jets actually retain him? Will he be a part of this rotation? Do you think he can have an impact? And who would you like to see the Jets bring on to help out CJ Mosley and company on the linebacking front?
Linebackers?
Elino Cortina told me to tell you to wake up, Jimmy.
First time this has ever happened. All
right. Y'all will discuss this later on in the week, I'm sure.
We get you on Weapons Hot After Dark,
Right. Please come through.
Yes, come through, Lino. Weapons Hot After Dark.
I think Onwuasor and Mosley coming back, I think they were really run down as far as motivation over the last couple of years. CJ with the injury and then the opt out and then Onwuasor with his injuries.
Oh, I agree.
I think that bringing Saleh in and Ulbrich, I think that they're excited. CJ's excited. He's driving in blizzard conditions to get to one Jets drive. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys saw that tweet.
Yep, we saw.
But I don't know who I would say to bring in as far as free agency. I know in the draft I like Jabril Cox out of LSU. I think he can learn a lot from CJ Mosley, who has some good amount of time left. But to bring up a rookie would be a good thing. I like Jabril Cox to come in, but I think Onwuasor is going to come back. Mosley's going to come back, and I think they're going to tear it up. The front seven for the Jets is going to be nasty.
I definitely agree with that. Look, there are, this is the thing for me. Linebacker is a difficult position because we have some guys that have, played some decent football here, but they wouldn't be considered, top-notch, prospects on other teams and in other situations. What is Neville Hewitt talking about? You know what I'm saying? I still think the guy can play. I think he actually has the ability to play at a high level, given the right circumstance. Look, it's going to be interesting because we have guys that are going to be coming back from injury that I think are going to be able to contribute to what it is that we do. And those names, in particular, CJ Mosley, are we really sure what CJ Mosley is going to look like after not having played for 2 years? We don't know. Onwuasor, I know that watching film on him, he's had some really solid, production over the course of the past few seasons also. But what are we gonna do with them? I think we're going to be very young in our linebacker core coming out, at least as far as the starters are concerned, because I think that we're going to end up drafting some in the mid to later rounds that are going to contribute. But also, I do believe that we're going to bring in some free agents. Just who, I'm not sure. Is it going to be, one of those guys that we bring in late that we can get who has decent production for what is a reasonable cap number? I kind of think that makes sense for us. But to be honest with you, there's a list of those guys. And to CJ's point earlier, we're going to start seeing with cuts coming now. some of the guys that maybe we didn't expect were going to be available, being there and us being able to kind of snatch up right before training camp and everything else gets started also. So it's difficult for me to just pinpoint because there are a lot of guys that I think that can be functional. But again, I don't know what this defense is going to look like. You know what I'm saying? It just as somebody that pays a lot of attention to defense first as a defensive player. I can tell you what I saw with Robert Saleh and being multiple as they were in San Francisco and actually playing at a high level with guys that you wouldn't expect would still be good because they were decimated by injuries. Who can we pick here? That'll be able to do some of the same things. Will some of those guys end up trickling in over here like we hope maybe Richard Sherman does? That it kind of remains to be seen for me. I think that, and I've said this a few times, but I just want to reiterate this just so you'll know that this is I'm serious about this. The guys that are really going to ball hard for us, we're not going to really see them coming. It's going to be a guy that maybe we're going to add in the middle of something that in the middle of this free agency that's going to come in, and we're going to be like, oh, it's a solid pick, and he's probably going to end up being a Pro Bowl or an All-Star or somebody like that, or we're going to hit really big on a draft pick. I don't want to put a name on that just yet. I just really got a good feeling that what we're going to see this season coming up is guys stepping up to the plate because now we're putting them in opportunities to be successful, where these past few seasons we have not done that with our coaching staff.
All right, Arrow, take it away. Who do you got?
Well, free agency, I've been hearing a lot of news that Keanu Neal wants to come to the New York Jets. He wants to play with Marcus May. If they re-sign Marcus May, which I believe they will, everything that I've heard, they're going to extend Marcus May. So that's going to definitely happen. Keanu Neal is a great safety. You can put him on the other side with somebody like Marcus May. Then you solidify the middle of your field. Keanu Neal that likes to get to the quarterback. You can use all different schemes to get to the quarterback with a guy like Keanu Neal. As far as the offensive line, I would shift McGovern to the guard position. If you want to keep George Font, you shift him to the position. You either bring Lindsley in or Tooney in to solidify your offensive line, and you draft a right tackle in the second round. I like Leatherwood from Alabama. He's probably going to fall out of the first round and go to the second round. I think that's where the Jets have to look. As far as the cornerback position, you need to bring in a veteran corner. Now, there are two guys that really stick out to me. Patrick Peterson from Arizona, who's available. You bring him in. He can absolutely help the young corners on the Jets right now. One of them, who I believe is going to be a star in the league, and you guys know who I'm talking about, their 6th-round pick, who came in this year after tearing his Achilles and played great football. Or Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman is a guy that has played in this defense. Robert Saleh's defense preaches very, very highly of Robert Saleh and what he has done. So that would be that in the offensive line position. Allen Robertson is the big name, the big wide receiver that's going to be available. He is the highly priced wide receiver that's going to be available. I do believe that Allen Robertson has talked or has spoken about the New York Jets as one of the destinations he wants to go. Also, the New York Giants, a place that he would like to play as well. So Allen Robinson is a big name that you can definitely look forward to in free agency if they can make a move for him. Also, Leonard Fournette. Now, a three-headed monster. Everybody knows Kyle Shanahan's offense. You need a three. You need a power back. You need a speed back on the outside, and you need a guy that could do multiple different dimensional things in the backfield. Well, you have one in Perine, and I want to see him. I don't want to see Frank Gore. I want to see LaMichael Perine play as my destination guy that can catch the ball outside and inside and do the things that we expect. If you want to keep Adams or you want to keep Johnson, that's up to you. Leonard Fournette showed you if he stays healthy, he's a beast of a man. He can get inside. He can beat up the middle. That's what you need in a Kyle Shanahan office, especially when you think run first and then you think throw. So that would be that. And Will Fuller. Will Fuller is a guy that fits like a glove in this offense. The reason why is they like to use slants. They like to use short passes in Kyle Shanahan, and they like to beat him on the outside. Will Fuller is one of the fastest and one of the most underrated speed guys on the outside. He doesn't have the greatest hands, but we've had guys, a.k.a. Mr. Pot Hands, who's playing for Carolina right now, who dropped the ball a lot. Who all the Jet fans were all upset when they decided to let him go after they were complaining about him last year because he couldn't catch the ball. He could drop the ball too much, then he'd catch the ball. So I think that Will Fuller is a guy you have to look at as well. So those are the positions. Those are the players in free agency. As far as the draft is concerned, you got to decide what you're doing at the quarterback position. At number 2, if you're keeping the pick, you're drafting a quarterback. If you decide to keep Sam, you draft an offensive lineman in that position, or you trade back and you try to keep building on what you're doing on building this team. As far as I'm concerned, you need a back that can beastly run up the middle. If you're not going to go after Leonard Fournette because he's an injury-prone player, well, then you have to go after Harris from Alabama. A beast of a man, has great footwork, can get up the middle and cause damage for the New York Jets. That's what you need. A guy that has good footwork. Reminds me of a less weight, less pull Derrick Henry, who I think is going to be a great player. And you need a corner. Now, everybody keeps talking about this kid Boyd, and I do believe he's a first-round draft pick. Speedy thinks he's the best corner in this year's draft. If you decide to go after a corner instead of a veteran corner, and you want to get a young prospect corner that can be the next guy, the number 1 guy, well, then you go after somebody like that. That's what you need to do. Get the right tackle in the second round, and Leatherwood will fall in the second round. I think he's he fit like a glove on the other side of Mekhi Becton. You're talking about the biggest line in football. You put Lindsley in the middle, and then you put McGovern at the guard, Font as the guard, and then you put a guy like Leatherwood on the other side, 6'4", 350 pounds, and on the other side, 6'8", Mekhi Becton, 340 pounds, that can run a 40 in 5 seconds flat. I mean, that's what you want. You want a line that's going to protect your young quarterback if you bring in Deshaun Watson, or then you bring in a guy like Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. You got to do the right thing for the kid. They did the wrong thing for Sam Darnold. If he's on his way out, protect the guy, protect Mr. Money. And that's what you need to do. And that's where I think the Jets have to go. And you need a pass rusher. I just look at this free agency market. It's better than it was last year as far as pass rushers are concerned. But is it that good? I mean, seriously, Ngakoue, they'll look at Ngakoue. I know JD loves Ngakoue. He tried to make a move last offseason to get him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes available. Ngakoue is a New York Jet because he loves him very, very much. But I think he's going to stay with Baltimore. Judon is a guy. I do believe Vic Beasley will fit. I know a lot of people don't like the name. It's not a sexy name. But in a 4-3 defense, he comes from a 4-3 defense. This is a guy that you're not going to have to pay a lot of money. This is a guy that had 18 sacks one year. This guy did damage. He was one of the best pass rushers in the league at one point. You could get him for $3 million a year or $2 million a year and see what he could do. I think that you can get him off the bench as a specialist. So that's where I would go with the New York Jets if you want to ask my honest opinion.
Yeah, and you know what? They're all viable thoughts, and believe it or not, you know what? I really don't have a problem with any one of those. You know, just one of the things that I want to see is I want to see the New York Jets address that offensive line. Lindsley from Green Bay is a guy who I have my eye on. I do like the idea of sliding McGovern to guard, keeping Fant around. You know, we are going to have to pop and keep a couple of other people in. Maybe draft a right tackle or draft another guard. Well, I want to see some solid depth, and I want to see some good rotational play out of this offensive line, which is something we saw a little bit of last year, but not enough to make us competitive. So, and if we are going to bring a Zach Wilson in here, if we are going to make a blockbuster trade to land a Deshaun Watson, or even if we're going to roll Sam Darnold out there again next year, you know, we need to have an offensive line that's going to be able to protect whoever's going to be on the center, because that's the only way that this football team is going to be successful. And of course, you know, getting an Allen Robinson, although there is talk about him being tagged, you know, possibly a Will Fuller, bringing him in because he, like Errol said, he is a good fit for this offense. But there are other players out there. And again, you know, we don't know exactly who's going to be cut as far as the getting under the salary cap is concerned. So you still have a lot of people who are out there who may end up being available. So the Jets may end up seeing some names on there that they never thought that would be readily available at this point in free agency. But again, I want to caution this, and I'm gonna end the show on this point. Building a team through free agency is not the way to build competitive sustainability. We're going to make a few deals in free agency, some blotted points, and then utilize the draft capital that we have to really solidify the foundation of this team. And that's really the mission. So, yes, it's great to talk about all of these high-priced names that are going to be out there, that are going to be available. But here's the thing. We watched the team get built in free agency and fall flat on its face after year one. We don't want to see that again. I don't want to see it. You don't want to see it. Nobody else on this panel here wants to see it. So we want to see a team that's going to be competitive, not just this year, but for the next 5 years down the road. That's called competitive sustainability. That's what we preach here on Weapons Hot every single week when you listen to us. And sure, people may laugh at that concept and so on and so forth, but you know what? Joe Douglas is probably thinking the same thing too. Can we be competitive this year? Can we be competitive next year? Can we be competitive 3 years down the road? Because we want to be consistently competitive, because that's the only way that the culture of this franchise is going to turn around. That's the only way that the New York Jets are going to become a relevant franchise once again. And that's the only way that the New York Jets are going to be looked upon as a respectable NFL franchise instead of being looked at like a bunch of clowns. So, again, don't believe the hype, trust the process, and be patient. That's all that we can tell you at this point. And that's going to do it tonight for this edition of Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan broadcast here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Sports War Radio, and Snowman Digital Media. Mr. Errol Marks.
Yes, the boss.
Please give out your social media information so fans of Weapons Hot who do not maybe already follow you can, in fact, follow you and interact with you, my friend.
Well, I'd like to follow me too. I honestly, I'm not a social media guru. That's for damn sure. And anybody that knows me, I'm trying to do everything I can to be that now. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's e.marks34. Twitter, I have a lot of followers, but I haven't really posted enough. But I'm going to start posting up stuff. So follow me. I am going to post. I had like 17 messages in the past month that I was reading yesterday. I want to apologize to everybody that's written to me, and I didn't answer them right away. It's been almost a month. I answered everybody. I want to apologize to everybody. I will start answering to my messages. It's Errol, ERROL, Marks, MARKS 34 at Errol Marks 34. And you can check me out over there. You can write to me. This time I will answer to you. But I'm looking forward to this offseason. And you're right, CJ. It's build around a draft. But with all this draft stock, you cannot bring in so much draft stock and know that in 5 years, you're going to have to pay all these guys. So you expect Joe Douglas to trade down, trade away picks, move picks around, because you cannot draft all that draft stock and expect to pay these guys 4 or 5 years down the road. So expect some moves. You will, just like you saw last year in last year's draft, trading with New England, trading that third pick and getting 2 4th rounds. Expect Joe Douglas to do this in the draft. The guy is a mastermind when it comes to drafting. I have not liked his free agent acquisitions he's made so far, but his draft, his first draft, as good as we've seen any of their GMs have had in a very, very long time. McCagnon, Idzik, whatever his freaking name is.
No.
I mean, all garbage. None of these guys are even on the team anymore. Talk about that first round draft picks. They're right now sitting at home or working at a freaking grocery store. So we all know where they've gone and where they've been. But I think that Joe Douglas knows what he's doing. So I'm very excited with your show. You guys are great. I love you guys on our network. And thank you to all the fans at Errol Marks 34, Twitter. And Instagram, e.marks 34 on Instagram, and Errol Marks, ERROL MARKS on Facebook. You can friend me. I will accept you. That's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my craziness.
We love it.
No question. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. So really quick, one last plug. Gotham City Crew. Okay, guys, T-shirts for a cause. If you haven't already gotten one, the all gas, no break T-shirts are out there available. Go ahead, go get yourself one, log on. All right. These T-shirts, they support a good cause. Go out there and help them out. Shout out to Gotham City Crew and Mr. Claudio Paulo for everything that they have done and contributed to Weapons Hot. Again, you can follow Weapons Hot on Twitter at CNC Jets Factor. You can follow me at JetsFan0523, the guy who doesn't deserve the internet, according to one Twitter response guy. Mr. Kevin Jackson on the other side of the glass at Spotty Blackman. Ladies, make sure you write that down. Mr.
Thank you guys for sticking with us.
At Jets by Jimmy. All right. Don't forget to go to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network Facebook page. Our content is up there. Make sure you give that page a like.
Download the app. Download the app.
That was coming.
I'm sorry. I had to say that.
Go to the Weapons Hot Facebook page. Like our content. Our content is up there. Go and like them. Message us. We'll message you right back. We love going back and forth with fans about this team. Also, leave us some feedback about how we're doing here on Weapons Hot. Of course, as Errol said, the best way to consume the Worldwide Sports Radio Network and yours truly, Weapons Hot, download the app. Android users, go to Google Play, type in Worldwide Sports Radio Network, and you can download it there. For Apple, same thing. Go to the iOS store, type in Worldwide Sports Radio Network, download that app.
On Apple, it's WWSRN. People ask, they can't find it on Apple. iOS, it's WWSRN. On Android, it's Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And you can check out our beautiful website. Our website is top-notch, the best website on the market. I guarantee you when you go on the website, you're not going to be disappointed. WorldWideSportsRadio.com.
Yep, and of course. So, and of course, last but certainly not least, Weapons Hot After Dark premiering on the Weapons Hot YouTube channel. Be sure to go over there, like, subscribe, get those notifications. We do have an upcoming show coming up. Be sure to keep your eyes peeled for social media for details about that, as we do have a very special guest that's going to be joining us very, very soon, very shortly. Weapons Hot After Dark. That's where you basically get this show unfiltered. And let me tell you, it's a blast. So, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Errol Marks, coming to you live from the Worldwide Sports Radio Network studio over in Long Island, Mr. Kevin Jackson, Mr. Jimmy the Reaper Jardine at his top secret bunker in Idaho. This is CJ the Painkiller DeSimone coming to you live from the Armory here in Brevard County, Florida. We will see you guys when we see you guys. Peace, love, go Jets. And I will leave you tonight with the still, in my opinion, is the best chant in the National Football League. All right, folks, have a good night. Be safe. We'll see you guys soon. Be sure to keep your eyes peeled again for Weapons Hot After Dark. We'll see you when we see you.